We spend a lot of time in the water, practicing until it's time for the real thing.
What? Oh, you're killing me, NASA. First, let's see what NASA teaches us about temperature in outer space.
That's because space is almost a perfect vacuum, and that presents us with several problems that take a good knowledge of science to solve. The first problem is no air to breathe. The sun poses another problem for spacewalkers because in space there's nothing to protect us from its harmful ultraviolet radiation. The radiation from the sun also affects the temperature in space. In direct sunlight, the temperature can soar to over 120 degrees Celsius, more than hot enough to boil water back on Earth. But when we get away from the sun's rays, the temperature can drop to minus 100 degrees Celsius, far colder than Antarctica in the dead of winter.
So there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. Temperature in space is a big problem. It is extreme, and I don't even know how you can argue this point with a straight face. The only clever argument I've heard is that in space the molecules are so far apart they don't actually heat up like they do in the atmosphere, but that argument is fallacious given that your spacesuit has an atmosphere, the ISS has an atmosphere, so as soon as the radiation from the sun hits your spacesuit, it's going to cook you. It's going to cook that atmosphere in your spacesuit just as it would the ISS, or the absence of the sun's radiation would be extreme cold. So it's just childish. I don't even know how we can just gloss over that and ignore that fact of deadly radiation and deadly heat and cold in space. But anyways, in this video I want to compare and contrast the mindset, the seriousness of an astronaut with that of a spy plane pilot. They both supposedly work in extreme, deadly environments where one mistake or an accident means certain death. You will die. There's no room for error, so they should both take it pretty seriously. I don't know. I see these pictures of these astronauts and they don't look scared or serious to me most of the time. They look pretty happy. I mean, look at this guy. He's not even sweating. He's got glasses on. That heat would be killing him. I don't care how much water is flowing through that suit. It's not going to stop your face from sweating with that massive 250 degrees coming through that visor. I mean, they're out there for over 7 hours on many spacewalks. Every 90 minutes it changes from 250 degrees to negative 250 degrees. They'd all be sick as a dog. They're dying one minute, boiling. The next minute they're freezing with snot coming out of their nose. I mean, this is just strange. But anyways, let's get back to topic here. So we know the first deadly component of space is temperature, where it goes from 250 degrees in the sun to negative 250 degrees in the shade. I mean, this is extreme, trying to change the temperature within your suit or even on the space station from 250 degrees all the way down to a comfortable 75 is next to impossible, but NASA pulls it off. The next deadly component of space that we have is the vacuum of space. And it's extremely powerful. All that we can recreate on Earth is a high vacuum, which is 3 levels before the vacuum of outer space. NASA's got their test facilities. They're pretty powerful, but again, they're just midway in the range of a high vacuum. Even their super-duper chamber in Ohio there, their space power facility, is still only a high vacuum, not the vacuum of outer space. But you wouldn't know that watching NASA astronauts. They seem to never be worried about going into space, even though it's deadly. So, let's just watch a few clips from real spy plane pilots as they talk about the dangers and prepare for their mission, and then let's compare that with one of our favorite spacewalking astronauts, Sunny Williams. Here we go.
We call it the U-2 Dragon Lady, and because sometimes it's a dance with the lady and other times it's a big fight with the dragon. You can never get too comfortable in it or it'll hurt you.
The pilots of the U-2 are asked to succeed in an environment few will ever face. They fly in air so cold and thin that exposure to it would not passively bring about their death. It would aggressively kill them.
So flying at high altitudes is obviously very dangerous. These guys are 17 miles above the Earth, flying at about 430 miles per hour. Now let's compare that to the astronauts on the ISS, and they are 250 miles above the Earth, zipping around at 17,000 miles per hour. So that's much higher and much faster than the spy plane pilots. Let's see what the NASA astronauts say about preparing for spacewalks.
I'm here with my two buddies in the airlock. Actually, these are two spacesuits that are ready, primed up to go outside, as we call it, to go do a spacewalk in case we have to do anything outside. Remember, space is really cold and really hot, and it's also the vacuum of space with no pressure, and so some of the equipment doesn't work well all the time. So we might have to go out and do a spacewalk. But right behind here is the hatch in which you actually go right outside into the vacuum of space. So it's a pretty awesome little spacecraft, and actually got to go out, use my little spacecraft a couple times, and it worked like a charm. Lucky that it works very nice. You might want to see what the helmet looks like. It's pretty cool too. We don't usually go out like this, so you usually can see when the helmet's open. So you can see what it looks like inside. Somebody's little head would be inside of here. And it's usually pretty sunny out there, so we have to wear our sunglasses, and this is our sunglasses right here, which make you look pretty cool.
For trips that could last longer than 12 hours, U-2 pilots are asked to fly 14 miles above the Earth, where the dynamics of control mean that 3 knots faster could cause the aircraft to break apart, and 3 knots slower could cause it to fall out of the sky.
Let's hear it for Sunny Williams. She and NASA are laughing all the way to the bank with our tax money, so I'm glad they're having such a good time in space, making burritos, playing guitars, and working out in their gym. Unfortunately, the poor spy plane pilots don't get the same treatment. They actually have to go out in extreme conditions and potentially fatal missions where they know any mistake, any accident can quickly cause their death. Somebody needs to tell these pilots that they should become astronauts, because apparently there are no worries with space travel or spacewalking. It's all fun and games. No one ever gets hurt. I don't know how they do it. It's magical. It's like Disney. It's magical. Maybe it's a good thing Disney's a very short drive away from the Kennedy Space Center. Maybe they give them some pointers on how to pull this stuff off. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.